Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup for the X-Men family of books. Actually, we got a decent amount of X-books this week. Yeah, I think actually that probably of all the groups of books, the one that'll probably have the most books on average per week is probably the X-Men. Anywho, let's just get into it. We're going to kick things off with Uncanny X-Men number 15. And that is not the most hopeful looking cover. So, where we left off, the X-Men had made arrangements with Valerie Cooper for help for behind the scenes help from from her within the State Department. And they were taking prisoners in the basement of Harry's hideaway. We open up with a quote. It's not credited, but in every win is a seed of loss. With every victory, I can feel defeat growing inside of us. It's a voice in my head I can't quite hear. That's neat. We also have a Congratulations to Spider-Verse ad. So, yeah, I'm already done with these 2-page ads for Savage Adventures. All right, so we open up in the basement and what is basically Dark Beast's lab. He's working on something and spills part of it. Though I do believe he spilled it on purpose, but Karma offers to help clean it up, and he starts talking to her, in part about her being infected with the transmode virus, and that she kind of just doesn't like being there, but she can't leave because on her own she'd be killed. And he offers to try to help her. Now, where we'd left also, I forgot the big thing that happened at the end of the last issue. Cap showed up at the door to talk to Cyclops. Anyway, Cyclops basically tells everyone but Logan to leave the bar, well, leave the main room of the bar at least, while him and Cap talk things through. However, Alex Havoc does tell him, hey, if Logan's staying, I'm staying. Cap pretty much opens up by doing what he can to kiss Cyclops' ass. I mean, he just gets right up there in front of the booty, he just puckers up and just gives a nice big old wet kiss. Steve also tells Scott that he can't trust Valerie Cooper. Though Scott kind of is like, what, like, and we can trust you? It's kind of and he kind of has he's trying to tell him to be careful, but Scott's like, hey, we're the only friends we have. But he wants to help. He can't help them publicly, but he wants to help them. And he does offer the suggestion of being discreet. And he gives them I'm not sure if it's an Avengers comm device or what, but he gives it to Scott and then leaves. and also making a point of acknowledging two former Avengers are there as well, Wolverine and Havoc. Cyclops asks Wolverine's opinion, which kind of surprises Wolverine, but Cyclops explains that he's trying a new thing, and Wolverine knows Cap better than Cyclops does. And Wolverine says, Cap's right about one thing. We shouldn't trust anyone, including Cap. However, Multiple Man interrupts, explaining that there's a text message on Reaver's phone. It's from Hope, and her Mutant Liberation Force picked their next target. So, it's a political rally, and in the Chamber and Multiple Man are in the crowd. There's a guy getting up in Chamber's face. Cyclops is trying to tell Chamber to calm down, and mainly Chamber kind of says he's there to smash bigots every chance he gets. Mutant Liberation Force shows up. And the racist senators promptly ushered off stage, and the X-Men begin fighting the Mutant Liberation Force. Hope is promptly spotted, so Magic sends Cyclops to Hope. Her and Zombie Banshee have got the high ground. Hope also has a sniper rifle. Cyclops is trying to appeal to Hope from the fact that she's kind of sort of his granddaughter. Time travel. It's a funny thing. Wolverine gets up there, and Cyclops gets shot. But while she's got Wolverine, while Wolverine has Hope pretty much dead to rights, she basically borrows Cyclops' optic blast and blasts Wolverine away off of her. She fires, and it's not entirely clear if she actually made the shot or if she got the shot or not. But at the same time, shortly thereafter, she gets stabbed by Wolverine. Cyclops gets up and kind of weakly tells Logan, says, "Logan, don't," because it looks like he's about to toss Hope off the top of the building. Fast forward to 6 days later. Cyclops has come to in their makeshift infirmary. Hope shot his eye out. His code name is rather appropriate. It's even more appropriate than it was before. Havoc explains to Cyclops that that Dark Beast ran experiments on Moonstar and Karma. Cyclops goes off on him, and It's also explained that, so, the extent of Cyclops' injuries. His skull is barely held together, and with his eye beams constantly firing, he runs the perpetual risk of blowing his own head off. And when he increases the focus and intensity, the risk becomes a likelihood. Havoc somewhat calms down the situation, or at least shuts up, reminds Dark Beast that Cyclops is not the only powerhouse there. But it turns out that Dark Beast was able to remove the transmode virus from them. And he explains what the transmode virus had done, how it had done. But it was given to a true host, a Madrox dupe, who wants to die. God, I feel sorry for Jamie Madrox sometimes. A lot of the time. Okay, like 45% of the time. Just like he does something stupid, and you're like, you know, you deserve to get punched in the face for that. Then he does something, and you're like, well, crap, he just did the right thing. Okay. Anyways, moving on to Deadpool number 11. Where we left off, the mysterious Goodnight had taken Deadpool prisoner and removed his skeletal structure completely. So, of course, Deadpool is curious as to who Goodnight is. And so Goodnight explains. But first, he takes him to an alleyway where there are a couple of chalk outlines, and, you know, it's the Batman origin. Only the killer was Deadpool. So a mysterious hooded figure shows up and says, hey, just trust me, you'll get, trust me, get your revenge. His name is Frankie. Frankie Mueller. Cops find Frankie standing over the body of his dead parents, holding the blood-drenched sword that had killed them. He's tried as a juvenile, so he goes into the juvenile system. So once he gets out of juvie, he gets tossed through a portal into... I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the Savage Land or if it's supposed to... I'm going to go with it's the Savage Land because there appear to be people there already. After a while, the hooded figure shows up, takes him to another portal. Now he's being trained in... the way his hooded guide puts it is, he's taking Frankie through various points in time to learn from the masters of all things. So, they'll build his mind and his body, and teach him how to use them both to do what needs to be done. And eventually Frankie's told that before you can slay his figurative dragon, he must slay a real dragon, which Frankie does. And so, now, his hooded friend reveals himself as Weasel. And if anyone knows how to kill Deadpool, it's him. And the last part of his training requires Frankie to go to hell. Literally. Which Weasel's able to open a portal to hell and sends Frankie there. And Frankie and Mephisto have a chat. And, yeah. He basically ends up having to kill a whole bunch of demons that look like his parents. And he does. And he tells Deadpool that that's how he became the person he is today. The person who's going to end Deadpool's life. Well, Deadpool, having been listening, it's like, okay, 3 things. 1, That's just about the most fucked up story he's ever heard. And that was, if my memory is anywhere near correct, I recall warning you not to lean into this life, right? Yet here you are in full fucking vigilante mode, trying to exact your revenge. And he says, yeah, he kind of just goes on. Like, that too is, he can't believe how Goodnight told him all that, but didn't tell him the origin of the costume. Showing the hero make the costumes classic superhero stuff. And finally, 3. Never talk so fucking much. As apparently Deadpool's skeleton has completely regenerated, and so he smacks Goodnight around. Explaining that sometimes your best weapon is shutting the fuck up so the guy with the healing factor doesn't have time to grow his bones back. Because if that happens, your whole revenge plot is going to last an issue longer than you anticipated. And Deadpool's name is in the title, so he's pretty sure, so he promises it won't be ending well for Goodnight. Alright. Moving on to another book featuring Deadpool. Domino, Hot Shots. Yes, I know, Anyway. Deadpool is featured. So, where we left off last issue. Domino and her posse added Black Widow and White Fox to track down what turned out to be a celestial artifact. And then Deadpool shows up, because he's been hired for it. So, we get a little bit of flashback as to who Outlaw is, as she's kind of been smacked by someone who had touched the artifact. And she's got like a celestial bit on her hands. And she's kind of having visions of the Celestials. And she remembers everything since the beginning of time. Anyway, there's a bit of a fight. Deadpool gets smacked around. And then Deadpool gets serious. Which Domino explains. It begins pretty much with Deadpool whipping out his sword and saying, "Let's get manga." And she says, in her internal monologue, "Uh-oh, I know that tone. When the jokes stop, we're in trouble. You don't want the merc with a mouth going quiet." And but Domino manages to stop him, at least talk to him. She gets closer and closer. You know, hey, this whole group, they're idiots, yeah, but they're my idiots. Which, he's like, "Hey, look, I'll kill you before I can even stop myself." But she's getting closer and closer, and he's straight up telling "You're not that lucky." But she says she's not putting her faith in luck. She's putting her faith in Wade. And so he sheaths the swords. After all, he didn't really get happy endings, right? And she it adds that, everyone, Domino adds mentally that everyone she knows has a strong reaction to Wade Wilson. Mostly unfavorable. Annoyance, dislike, etc. But apparently he always makes her think of a broken heart somehow. So she asks about the artifact, the creation constellation. Wade explains that his employer said it's everything he said it may be. Okay. My employer said it's everything. He said it may be the heart of our universe, the thing that makes it special, the thing that makes the extraordinary seem like your next door neighbor. He said it could make a guy like me and make him own reality. But basically, he kind of wants it. He wants to use it himself to, you know, cure himself of the cancer and get his dead girlfriend Vanessa back. And then he explains just who it is who hired him. That would be, as he puts it, Tony Billion Bucks boy band Stark. Yeah, you know, Iron Man. But they are working on a formulated plan for mainly track the doctor infected with the creation the creation constellation. However, first things first, though, Domino had asked a roll call of the three. I'm not talking about Wade either, but Atlas Bear, in this case, the three more recent additions to the posse: Atlas Bear, Black Widow, and Silver Fox, and basically, or White Fox. Basically saying, hey, look, you each have strong ties to governments, and this is not something any government should have. You know, so she asked each of them to swear they're in this to destroy it, not preserve it, not study it, but demolish it. Anyone who says no gets tossed out of the jet right then and there. All three say yes. And they're trying to figure out how to get rid of it. And the first thought is Outlaw smashes it. But White Fox doesn't entirely think she's strong enough to do that. To, you know, mutilate an artifact made by the Celestials. Which, fair enough. Diamondback is just dropping it in the ocean. Which, okay, good idea, except for one problem. That problem being, you know, Namor, the king of Atlantis, who would totally use that to take over the surface world. White Fox is just shooting into the sun. But no one has a means of doing that. And, well, Tony Stark has managed to hack their jet. And he's also called in basically some of his Iron Legion, as Domino puts it, some of his falsies. So, yeah. Bit of a quick fight between the posse and unmanned Iron Man armors. But their jet gets damaged and it's crashing. Also, Tony Stark, totally off Domino's Christmas card list. And that is where the issue ends. Anyway, moving on to Age of X-Man, Prisoner X, number 2. So, where we left off, Lucas Bishop had been, after attempting to form a romantic relationship with Jean Grey in the Age of X-Man, was arrested and placed in the Danger Room prison. However, he's beginning to have odd memories. And he was, on his first night, he was slipped a note under his cell door saying, "The dream is real, reality is false. Get out." So he opened up with, in the Danger Room prison complex, for the warden, in Forge's office. Forge being the warden. He is talking with Psylocke of Department X. And she reminds him that the prison is not really. This is not for rehabilitation so much as it is to keep those that those who choose to live a life counter to everything they've built out of society. Anyway, so makes a few notes in Bishop's file and moves it from records to re-education program. In the yard, Bishop is trying to figure out who wrote the note. But yeah, no one wants to cooperate with him. He tries to talk to Polaris, but she's reading a book. And turning the page with her nose. And she eventually leaves. Honey Badger explains to him that she thinks she's wearing a straitjacket, and in fact, she is only ever seen with her arms crossed as though she were wearing one. In the mess hall, he tries to talk to Beast, but once again, Beast and him have yet another fight. However, this time at least, once it's over, Beast at least does provide some aid. And also explains to him, hey, you were right here in Hades, your road paved with your grandest of intentions. He looks at the note, and he doesn't recognize the handwriting. And he explains that this place is built on a foundation of struggle. It's like quicksand, greedy and heavy. The rule of strength and dominance is what they want to see. So he gives it to them to survive. And he also suggests that Bishop stop asking his questions so loudly. So he talks some with Danny Moonstar again about having memories that don't fit. Also shows her the note, and she begins to mention that she also has memories like that. She remembers a world where family and friendship, where love was the goal and not the enemy. And then Shard appears. However, also, they keep on hearing laughter, Bishop at least claims to keep hearing laughter. One of the security drones comes into the warden's office, and Forge simply tells him, "Do it." And Shard and Bishop apparently have a chat. And then Bishop fights himself. Every version of himself. We got how he looked when he first showed up. From the slightly later 90s when he had a cape. Then we've got his couple other, probably approach every version of himself. And then we see two of the guard drones carrying him into his cell. I'm beginning to think possibly the Shadow King is involved here, but I'm kind of seeing him in a lot of different things. So yeah, well, the guard, something's going on in the prison, but then again, something in general is going on with that entire alternate reality. Anyways, next up and finally, we have Major X #1. So, Major X. First off, I'm going to say this. I don't think Major X takes place in the primary Marvel timeline. It contradicts just too goddamn much of the stuff that Rob Liefeld himself worked on. And he wrote this, and it. Okay, all right, I'm calm. Yeah, all right. So we open up. The narration is done as Traveler's Logs. But the Traveler's Log entry 01991. We have arrived safely at Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Unfortunately, it was not without incident. These students were a force to be reckoned with, but the element of surprise assisted us and played to our advantage. There are familiar faces among the fallen. Anyway, basically, Major X took on X-Force just before they became X-Force, and seemed to beat them. Well, and he had an older version of Beast check the grounds to make sure no one was around. Anyway, more of a fight happened. The fight continues, though. Cable gets back up. He smacks around Major X for a bit. Basically tases this older version of Beast. Then we get a flashback to the future in the X-Istance, another Traveler's Log. Basically him riding around on his mother bike, Major X riding around on his mother bike, making observations about the world, but then things are beginning to collapse. And even vanish. But yeah, so Beast and Major X go into the past. But he explains that Cable is essential to the history and cannot be compromised. But Wolverine then suddenly attacks, and but Beast helps to get Wolverine off his back. The two fight a bit, and it turns out that the sword Major X carries has an adamantium blade. Wolverine asks, where he came up with enough adamantium to make a sword. Turns out it was fashioned from the remains of Wolverine's bones, long after Wolverine's passing. Anyway, X-Force is just recovered. Cable shoots the Major, tells him to stay down, and that's the best advice Cable's going to give him. However, while he's explaining what's going on, they come from another realm, another existence, a sort of sideways dimension of this one. And as their world was being destroyed, they made a desperate jump, utilizing the mother bike, hoping to reach a time and place where they could formulate a plan to save their home. However, an explosion happens, and Dreadpool arrives. And he also says he's going to make a carpet out of the older Beast. So, bit of a fight. During the fight, Cannonball manages to sneak up behind Dreadpool. Not Deadpool, Dreadpool. But he's very obviously a version of Deadpool. Is able to sneak up on him while using his blast field and punch him from behind. Domino smacks around Dreadpool a bit, but she gets the upper hand. Then we get some hand-to-hand between Dreadpool and Cable. Wolverine gets involved. And then Deadpool, the actual Deadpool, pops in on the mother bike. Now, this is where I'm starting to kind of go with this is not in the primary Marvel universe. This is Deadpool as he's written. This is generally Deadpool as he's written today. Much more self-referential and whatnot. In fact, there's actually a really great moment where he's asking about who Dreadpool is, and even saying, let's find out who's under that shiny helmet. Cade? Jade? Slade? Is that you? But then Dreadpool disappears. Major X explains about his world, and then reveals his identity to the assembled members of X-Force. He's Alexander Nathaniel Summers, Cable's son. Yeah. And this is actually also going to be a twice monthly series. I think. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'm fairly certain it's not. Okay, so I've said that it was not in that there are reasons I don't think it takes place. Rob Liefeld, co-creator of Deadpool and Cable, is the writer-artist on Major X. And if that's supposed to be taking place in the regular Marvel Universe, then it contradicts the first meeting of Cable and Deadpool and X-Force. Because Shatterstar wasn't there for that. And seemingly, Deadpool did not meet them for a good long while later. And in fact, it was mentioned at the end of that issue that he had been FedExed back to his boss. That was then mentioned when Deadpool was fighting Garrison Kane in X-Force number 2. So yeah, I'm fairly certain this is an alternate reality. Kind of a, hey, if I really got to have my way with all of that back then, this is what I would have done. Which sounds kind of more like it's a Liefeld fanfic, but I don't want to put it that way necessarily. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's fun. This book would have been huge 25 years ago. It's probably still going to do pretty well, but yeah, again, it's just, there's a lot going on. It's like, no. Anywho, that's it for this section of the roundup. We got 2 more to go. We got the Avengers portion and then the other portion. Kind of combining stuff for that one. Anyway, so this, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon switchbox down below. Oh, as I forgot to mention in the last one, hit the bell icon to be notified when I put new content. And this is Rock Spock signing off for the moment, saying live long and rock hard.